it would actually block the camp, which is funny, because you can block it from the low ground, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's strange. Its body teleported up to the lower right corner of that camp as well. I mean, they do spot it out. Good use of the static remnant from Mikado to spot it, and at least the camp is opened up. Interesting. I've never seen that one, Mike. That's a keen one. I'm sure you'll try that out in your pause 4 plays.
No, I won't, Jonathan. The thing is, Jonathan, is the enemy doesn't de-ward, so I don't need to try those sneaky spots. I could just put it right in the middle of the box. No problems. I know the other mid's not going to buy a sentry. Don't come on, we're in Southeast Asia. They're not going to buy wards. They don't know what those are. So let's get started with this laning stage, shall we? Mid lane, of course, Mikado is going to be against Lelouch, the QOP first Storm matchup, which, you know, back in the day, John, you'd argue that QOP should be heavily favored in this matchup. Do you think it's still kind of the case here against the Storm?
I think it still is. Like, QOP has a good time just clearing out the wave, harassing back with a Scream of Pain. You could always go for the Shadow Strike as well, get some constant DPS and a little bit of healing on yourself. There's not much a Storm can do about that. Storm can't threaten with a Vortex at level 3 as well from the double Overload hit, so you don't have that early laning spike for the Storm. That should mean Lelouch should have a pretty manageable lane. Rune control is important, but again, you also have the blink value point for Lelouch once he's 4 if he wants that, and should lead to an easier time just getting all the region he wants there.
And look, the side lanes as well, of course. Bot lane, Nevermind and Xavier's going to be against Hyde and Savage. Love to see me some Enchantress. Of course, the hero was nerfed recently in terms of the enchant. You have to be a little bit more careful as to what creeps you do enchant, and in fact, Hyde is actually going to go right in for the heal rather than going for the level 1 enchant, and I kind of agree with that. You are up against DK and Grimstroke with the Medusa. Chances are you are not going to be able to get that aggressive with the enchant, so you're better off just being able to sustain the lane, I suppose, and just going for the right clicks instead.
You don't really have your large camp to play with as well. We are seeing Mikado drop low and mid, as mentioned. QOP has a better time. Lelouch does go for level 2 Shadow Strike, but that just means Mikado can't even walk up to the creep wave to drop a remnant to clear it out. So it's tougher for him to find that CS, and that should lead to a strong start for Lelouch. Even if it doesn't amount to too much CS, it should be a lot of EXP going his way.
Well, Hyde gets caught out there down a bot lane, John. Xavier's able to land with the Inkswell into the Stroke of Fate and does go for the first blood here on the Grimstroke, so happy days for him. A very nice start here against the Enchantresses. This is meant to be a lane dominant kind of hero, but giving away a first blood like that, not going to feel very good for Hyde.
Yeah, it's not the start you want. I think you're still getting what you seek, though, guys. You're having an easier time for Savage in comparison to Natsumi.
Yeah, Natsumi gonna try and go for a run, but does get caught out by the Scatter Blast of Q. Right on the edge, but it was enough damage to get the job done. Natsumi, a much bigger kill than, say, finding Hyde on the edge. So as I say that, Savage now in trouble. Not too much trouble, though. Just trying to get some harassment back the way of Nevermind, but ultimately is going to be just fine.
Yeah, and I think you're fine with that trade for Talon. Hyde's doing his job, just intercepting, making the lane easier for Savage to build up. Your Medusa still having a great time in CS, just up there in the top 2, kind of tied up with Lelouch. Lelouch is going for a bit of a sneaky bounty steal, something that the QOP can do with the early blink up, and that's just going to cut even more resources away from Mikado. He's still not having a great time mid. He's finding his own CS. He is going to need some good rune control here.
Hyde, bot lane again. Did try to back off in time, but no, he's going to get caught out a second time, and Xavier's going to give him a second chip already during this laning stage. Another pretty rough affair for Hyde.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, you're not playing with enchant, you don't have the large camp to play with, all the impactful creeps aren't showing up for you because you haven't gotten D-ward. Xavius is just able to play with that doubled stun. Just Dragon Tail into Inkswell every time. You can just find a nice easy kill. Hyde does work his way towards mid, not really able to give a bottle refill to Mikado, but Mikado does find a water and get some good damage onto Lelouch. Xavius is forced to pick up his own water rune as well because Hyde's around, so no top up for Lelouch, and that should give a room out.
Q was just chasing forever, John. I thought there was no way in hell he finds that kill, but oh, he's even going to find the courier now. TMB loses his hero, loses his courier. It's just not good news. He's probably even lost the lane. Natsumi?
And it's already been a slow start for Natsumi. He's going to have the spin if he wants to chase, but can't really fully commit onto Q, and KP is off to a really strong start. Having these strong starts on the side, Mike, having the Brewmaster and the Medusa just farm up really well, get their EXP, they're going to hit some really good spikes. Like, once you have that split on KP, he can just threaten across the map. Mikado is still holding his mid well, despite that earlier back and forth with Lelouch. And despite the couple of kills for Polaris, the kills that Talon have found do feel a little bit bigger. I think if you're Polaris right now, you have to be a bit cautious. Your momentum from the offlane for Nevermind, it's a blink timing for the DK. And that's still a long ways off considering how well Savage's lane has been going here.
It certainly is. Interesting to note, John, Makoto on that Storm having a pretty good time considering the fact that he was struggling against the QOP. Like, perhaps a lot of that CS is going to be from the jungle anyway, but the fact that he is on top of the CS board is certainly good news. Doesn't feel like Lelouch has had exactly the kind of impact he was hoping for against the Storm. So you are going to have the bottle refill out from Q, so Makoto can stick around, but in the meantime, bot lane, Savage going to be in danger. Is going to pop the mana shield, and that will be just enough to save him. Hyde going to be able to salve him up and give him another chance at this laning stage, but Savage, without mana now, has to be very cautious. As a salve is going to be cancelled off. The Savage, he'll remain on half HP. Just really going to try and avoid that initial stun out from Nevermind now.
Have to play safe, hold the lane, just keep farming up. Hyde does have a level 2 enchant, so he could try to be aggressive. Still doesn't have his large camp though. Has a sentry on hand. It does feel like we're skipping past that point where the early creeps are going to have massive presence considering how tanky Nevermind is as well. You are seeing some really big stacks being built up here by Polaris. TMV managed to set that up and Natsumi able to clear it early with a spin, so a lot of good farm coming through for Polaris to recover from the slower laning phase. And Tal not in position to contest early. You're kind of keeping things even, a much more even start for both sides. Neither side really finding a massive win so far from laning. You could argue Talon's having a slightly better time with the kills. Again, not the biggest lead, so still have a lot to play for here.
Makoto after TMV now.
Really?
He's going to drop the kotl.
Should have seen that coming.
Nice pick off there for Makoto. Does manage to... I don't believe he got the power rune he wanted, but it don't really matter too much. He does secure the kill. And with that, he just keeps it up. Top the net worth board. And again, I'm quite shocked by this. Like, I thought Lelouch would have a much better time, but Makoto just too damn good right now on this Storm.
He managed to hold the lane well. I think the early rotations out and missing out on that water rune earlier on for Lelouch was pretty big, just because it was all really hinging on regen, right? Like, it kind of just boils down to who gets the top up their bottle, who gets the spam out their spells. We were seeing that aggression out from Lelouch, making great use of his Shadow Strike, but at some point you can just clear out. You've got the levels in the Overload, you can still walk up in Static Remnant, get some good hits off, and you're at the point where you're triple null on Storm. You don't need much more beyond that, Mike. You're kind of set to go here for Mikado. Of course, the Orchid that the panel mentioned would be big if he wants it. We'll see if he'll go for it after the power cuts, as he tends to just go for a BKB anyway.
Yeah. Happy days. Natsumi still being kind of stalked here by Q. Be okay to back off. Mid lane now, Makoto. Could be in a spot of danger as Xavius has shown up on the Grimstroke, but not going to be able to get anything done here. I think he wanted to fill up the bottle of Lelouch, but Lelouch actually ended up chasing down the Storm instead. Maybe not. Maybe he wasn't coming from the fountain. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like nothing gets done.
No, you miss out on an opportunity to just leverage a little bit more regen. They do get the power rune under their control and Polaris is in. And they will smoke up off the back of it. It isn't Invis. They have a good angle to find backline here up top. KP does have the split though. Pretty tough target to go for if they want that. Gonna hunt for Savage instead.
Yeah. Into the Medusa they go, but Savage, he's gonna back off at the right moment. Chances are he'd still be too tough of a kill to get right now anyway with the mana shield up. That he is rotating back into the mid lane, so perhaps they still have a shot at this. Savage. Go with the Mystic Snake, and in fact Lelouch, he's going to back out of there, so they are not going to attempt to jump in. And with that, Talon, they'll be just fine to keep the farm up. Mind you, Polaris, they are still farming very well on their own end of things. The only person ahead of them right now is going to be Makoto on the Storm, but you are still against the Medusa at the end of the day. Eventually, Savage is going to be able to overtake everybody.
That's the one issue. They catch TMV out with a split from KP. A simple kill to pick up on the kotl as they still manage to secure their stacks. There is a good sentry drop by TMV before falling. She does block the large camp and prevents that massive buildup for Medusa to clear out down the line, while giving some space out for Natsumi still to play in that top jungle. Still no forward wards out from the side of Talon to spot that farming pattern of the Jug. So that buildup is still there for Natsumi. He is going for the Maelstrom first. He does want to be aggressive here while having some farm impact as well. And the side of Talon has to be a bit cautious. Rotation's coming up top. They know the split's down.
KP going to be the target surely as Natsumi is going to rush in with the Inkswell as KP tries to go for a run but does get stunned up. Still the TP away immediately out and he's going to be fine. Yeah, they just don't have a follow-up stun. Just TP.
Yeah, and we saw that as an issue for Talon last time where, you know, Savage would chase them down and we just TP out. This time around, you don't have the best stuns on Polaris' lineup at all. Like, you have Dragon Tail, you have Inkswell, and that's pretty much it. So it's going to be a tough thing to counteract until you maybe get a value Yules out or something on Lelouch. He is going for the Orchid first in the QOP. So that's going to be a good source of jumping the Swarm, punishing him before his own protective items, but Kato's just kind of taking it slow, working through its own BKB. The good news for Polaris, though, they've got some room to shove in bot with the Dragon Form up in Nevermind, but he's not in the safest spot right now if Talon does want to commit. Mikado's still hanging around here.
They've got backup though. Hyde going to be focused down first as they are going to move in with the Inkswell, but Makoto right into the Dragon Knight with the Mortimer's Kisses. They've got plenty of damage. They'll take him out. So Makoto, he wants Xavius as well. They completely ignore Natsumi. They'll let the Jug run. He had the spin available, but Makoto setting up for a double here on the Storm, just doing God's work for Talon. They will be 6-2 now with a 2k net worth advantage. Polaris, for now at the very least, do not have the answers.
And they're managing to buy a lot of space for Savage now as well from Talon's movement. Savage is just hanging around mid, playing in the triangle, getting all the farm in the world. The Deuce is building up massively, overtaking the Jug now. And that's not something the Jug can keep up with easily. He will have Maelstrom to kind of close that gap, but we heard Fear say it in the panel, right? They need to play quick here on Polaris. They need to take these objectives fast with the Healing Ward, with the Dragon Form. Their bot push was already kind of cut off. And they're just not able to fully commit. They're having to drag nearly their entire lineup just to find that bot tier 1. That's a lot of room for Talon to make plays elsewhere.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Down to the bot tier 1 they go. Polaris, they get some work done here, but in the meantime, mid lane's being forced in by Talon. They've got to try and find a way to defend that. Lelouch will make the rotation on the Queen of Pain. You've always got the Keeper of the Light to just keep that lane pushed out constantly, and that they will abuse. But the top lane's even being forced in here by Talon. So at least you are going to have a bit more of an even trade coming out here for Polaris as they do find the bottom tier 1 tower, but you are starting to see that kind of aggression coming out again from Talon that we saw in game number 1, and they are certainly looking a lot more confident in this game number 3. And you look at the net worth, John, Savage, he's overtaken again.
At the top now. I mean, he's been ahead of Natsumi for some time. He's gotten so much space on that Medusa. No one from Polaris has been hunting him down. We do spot KP out at least, but he's still a very tanky target with the Primal Split ready to go. And the aggression from Polaris just feels limited. They need that blink up and running on Nevermind just to have that initiation along with a QOP and a combination with Xavius. Until that point, it's just not very clear for them to take these fights.
Okay, KP's having a field day. Top lane, he sees the support. He'll pop the Primal Split. Go ahead and take a free kill for himself. Absolutely no issues here for KP. And the mid lane is still being forced in. I mean, Savage just standing there hitting the tier 1 tower. Just something you don't generally see as a +1. Especially a Medusa just sitting there just hitting towers. 13 minutes into the game, but I suppose he can do this. And that's exactly what he'll do. Just keep going. Along with Hyde, who does rotate in. KP, he will take all the attention away as they do chase down the Brewmaster. It'll be a nice kill if they can find it. KP does end up dropping. But Talon do find the mid-tier 1. I think that's still a better trade for Talon.
It's definitely a better trade. They managed to take a nice objective. They force out the Omni Slash from Natsumi as well. So your Jug's not going to be joining any of these fights, at least for the next 2 minutes. You really need that Omni Slash for some early presence, unless you're already winning and you can just play with a spin. Polaris, they haven't been able to get any aggression on any other tower beyond bot. And they take that bot tier 1, and it took 4 heroes. They can't make moves onto mid. Savage is just growing a bit too big for them to handle. Yasha and Dragonlance already up 7.1k net worth in comparison to Natsumi's 6.3. And you're slowly but surely hitting that point where Mikado gets a BKB here, Mike. And triple null BKB, power treads, plus bottle. And that's all the Storm really needs. Maybe at that point you could go for that Orchid to just get that additional control onto the Jug, stop that spin. But even then, like, your lockdown for the Storm isn't quite there. The blink is up for Nevermind. And Polaris will smoke around that, maybe try to get a nice gank with that fresh item up.
They've got to try. Polaris, they'll make their way over.
Dire's top tower is
Towards
under
the mid they go. Savage getting it stunned up. That's a great target. If they can take it down with the Sonic Wave, double damage, everything been thrown at Savage. He's still alive. Makoto, he'll make the jump in. They found Lelouch. On the Queen of Pain, he is gone. This TMV, he's going to try to run. So will the rest of the team, but well, like I said earlier, John, I don't think they quite have enough damage for the Medusa.
No, I mean, they committed everything. The damage output wasn't enough. Even the Sonic Wave clipped Savage to the end, but he's got level 3 mana shield. He's got some decent stats. It's hard to pin him down, and that was the blink reveal as well on Nevermind, not amounting to too much. At the least, Nevermind still has Dragon Form, so they can play around that, maybe look to regroup and take mid. But as this game kind of slows down in pace, and Talon just gets to play on the defensive, and Savage just grows big and bigger. The Jug just, again, he can't keep up in the same way. The build-up is coming through. Yasha's gonna be up next for Natsumi, number 3 net worth, not too bad. But that difference will keep growing. The Maelstrom, again, speeds up your process, but it's no split shot in comparison, and Savage just has free reign over his own side of the river.
Does. Scary, scary times here for Polaris is now. They're 6k net worth behind. You heard Fear on that panel, John. The net worth is more important than drafts, that's for sure. We saw last game as well as now Xavius gonna get caught out, but in the meantime, Savage and Makoto, they're gonna move it onto Nevermind. They'll try onto the DK. Nevermind, he's not really that tanky. He does get taken down, no problem. At the very least, Xavius gets himself out in the Grimstroke, but lose a bigger target. It's just not great news for Polaris Esports.
It's definitely not. I mean, they're trying to take away that farm down bot. They don't have the most aggressive forward vision. They've got this nice ward parallel to the tier 2, but it's not giving them the clear information they need. They jump Savage, they get punished, they don't have vision in the low ground. Mikado was in position to counteract. He still has his fresh 9-second charge. KP.
Lelouch gonna try to KP. Makoto's in right in with the BKB up now. He could go right for the QOP. He won't quite find it though. Lelouch, he's going to be able to survive. In fact, Polaris, they might try to counter-initiate, knowing Makoto has his BKB down. KP can be spotted. Never mind, he'll move in. There's your Orchid out. KP, he does have Primal Split, but he needs a bit more time for it. He might just have it. There's your Sonic Wave, but no! He gets the Primal Split in time. They don't have the damage. And in they go for the team fight. Hyde is still around and should eventually go down. They did not have a sentry ward, John, but it won't matter. They get the damage. Still, it's going to be a bit of a shame that they do not find KP.
That was nuts. KP got the split off. I think he had 40 HP right as he split on the edge, but if you don't find those kills, you commit a lot. And Mikado looking for a turn.
Try. Silence is there. Makoto gonna pop his BKB. Does opt to go after Xavius instead. We'll take it. Now the BKB charge going down, but he's certainly making great use of it as Lelouch gonna try and chase down Makoto, but he's just perfectly fine. No pressure. Talon? I mean, they're grouped up. Are they gonna go for a smoke? They're surely not. And they won't.
Nature attend us.
No, just looking, maybe expecting Polaris would try to make a jump, knowing that the BKB's down in the Storm and the splits down on KP would have been a pretty good time to try to get the angle with your Blink Dragon Tail Inkswell combination. Polaris will just take things slow, go back, farm up, but get that build up on Natsumi. He is going for Sanji and Yasha now with that Maelstrom, so a little bit more stat resist, a little bit more forward presence. He doesn't have a great way of dealing with the Medusa though. No diffusal build up on our Jug. He can easily farm up, maybe start to spin on top of other heroes, but if Savage does choose to join these fights, the Medusa, even with just the 1k net worth, he does feel a lot bigger. And you're still getting that gold trickling in for KP and Mikado. Like, the Ags isn't too far off now for KP as long as this game keeps its pace up. Once you have that double split charges up, I don't know if you can even kill KP. And he barely lived last time, but barely is enough to have some impact. And you're going to have to try to do it against him with 2 charges up. For Polaris, it does feel like that early time has kind of slipped up here, Mike. They haven't been able to push as much as they'd want to around their Jug DK. They're just kind of forced to play this slower farming game, and that's where Talon shines with Medusa on their side.
Top lane, never mind. Use the fireball to sit back and relax, but there's certainly some pressure incoming. Talon gonna move in once again. Looking around, trying to find a target. Top lane, never mind TMV, they are still around here. The Cinderbrew does connect. KP, he's gonna know the keeper of the line is around, but never mind. Also was spotted there for a second, but does get the blink out. Instead, TMV is gonna be the one to suffer as Hyde does take the kill. But into the top tier 2 tower they go. But for Polaris, there's just no way to fight back right now. They just don't have what it takes.
Top tower is under attack.
Have to just surrender to tier 2. This opens up Roshan in a big way for Talon.
Oh, Makoto trying for the QOP. Lelouch will take the Invis rune, or rather illusion rune, for himself. Like you said, John, Roshan's open now for Talon, and Polaris, they just haven't had a response to any of the aggression.
Just, again, opting to get that build up onto Natsumi. The Jug will have impact if he does manage to find a good angle for the Omni Slash, get his shards up. Blade free damage does skyrocket at that point with your itemization. But it still feels like it doesn't match Savage. The Scotty's almost done for Savage, just lacking that point booster next. And once that's up and running, your healing's going to be down. The healing word's not going to be sustaining you as much. The DK feels a bit softer. KP has Axis up in 2 parts. I mean, for Polaris, they still need something. They need to be able to play aggressive. They need to play with Nevermind's Blink Stun, along with Lelouch's burst damage. If they don't manage to do that, then I think dragging this game out. Their high ground defense isn't particularly amazing, right? Like, you don't have these big teamfight spells and a choke point that feel great. Whereas for Talon, you're going to be dealing with Storm Ags down the line, the double split from KP, his level 20 talent spike as well with Brewling's help means that he's going to be alive even more in all of these engagements, and Talon knows that. They can choose to be aggressive with just 3 heroes on board and try to play with that smoke.
Lelouch getting stunned up in big trouble. Is going to try and make it through this one, but there's so much damage to come out. Makoto able to take another on the Storm, and they might just be able to keep going. TMV, Xavius, they do back off at the right moment, but they've lost their mid-quap. And KP's looking around for a bit more now. Now Xavius there for a moment. They're trying to chase in onto the Brewmaster. They're going to lock down. They might just have him as a soulbind. He's going to lock them down to boot. Hyde trapped him with him. Omni Slash to come out. Natsumi suddenly with a double kill out onto the Jug. And it seems like this time Talon, they get a bit too overly confident. And Polaris Esports are able to punish thoroughly.
Yeah, it's a nice kill to pick up. There's a DD for Savage to pick up here, though. And, you know, you kill off the Brewmaster, you kill off the Enchantress. You need every single kill here for Polaris. It's still not the big ones that you want. At least Natsumi's getting that build-up he needs, going for the Mjolnir next. So just a little bit more presence in the middle of these fights and a little bit of quicker farming as well. Coming true for the Jug. Mikado hanging around up top. He is playing near areas of control. There's some good vision here from Polaris, so has to be a bit cautious on the Storm.
Oh, they see him. Makoto getting it stunned up. This would be a massive pick-off for Polaris now. They've got him. Something they desperately needed. Lelouch is finally able to get a bit of sweet revenge here onto the Storm, and that's actually going to put a stop to the Roshan that was happening here by Talon. They won't be able to keep going.
They need the Storm to kind of ensure they've got angles onto the backline to take that fight. Really good forward ward coming in from Polaris on the low ground, hanging behind that small camp, giving just the necessary vision to catch out Mikado. And that does turn the tide. It's the big kill they needed. They managed to hold on. They get control back on their top jungle. Respawn isn't the longest though. Savage double damage is going to run out, so they can't fully commit for that Roche even after backing out. this point, Talon. I mean, they've got split back up if they want to play in about 8 seconds with a respawn, and Savage does make his way back in with Hyde. Polaris does have a good ward watching that lower area, but they don't walk into the vision. So it's still a bit blind for Polaris, and they don't move quick. This is going to be the first Roche for Talon. 2 lives on Savage is going to be massive.
Certainly will be. Talon. This one for free, it seems, as Polaris just have no idea it's happening. Well, they might have an idea, but they may just feel like they can't fight this. Certainly feels like they should be fighting it if they did know, but
It's under attack.
behind the triangle right now, just kind of farming up as the Roshan does go down the other way. Harris almost looked like they were trying to group up for a smoke here, but it is not going to work out for them now. Keep in mind, like, fighting into this Medusa with an Aegis up now, it's going to start to feel rather impossible. The Savage continues to get more and more tanky. And eventually, it's just going to get to a point where it seems like Natsumi just won't have enough damage.
Yeah, I mean, for the Jug to kind of keep up here, you want to be at least at network parity, right? Like, you're not a hero that can overwhelm Medusa with less items than her. So you want your Scotty to be up. You kind of want your Ags in this game. You want that Swift Slash to just have more uptime, and maybe something like a Basher to just get some additional control, true, especially once the BKBs are up. It's still a long ways off for any of that to be up on Natsumi. He's still working towards that Scotty first, and as Savage has done this past game, like, he's just standing outside tower range, chipping away at the objectives, ensuring that everyone else is behind him. And Polaris knows it's a very obvious bait. They're not going to jump, but they also can't defend. It's just free objectives in the end for Talon. That's more than enough for them to be happy.
On top lane, Xavius not going to get caught. KP. Have a look around. Does almost have his Aghanim Scepter up now on the Brewmaster. This could get even more tough, but it seems like Talon are thinking about going high ground. With the Aegis available, it doesn't feel like there's much to be worried about here against Polaris.
Middle tower is under attack.
They might just wait for those core items to come up, though, before they do make the commitment. But you'd rather have the 2 charges of the Primal Split if you can. Though it is going to give a bit more time here for Natsumi to try and keep up and catch up. With 23savage, he does work on towards his Eye of Skadi now on that Juggernaut. Even then, I just question where the damage output's going to come from. And hell, to make matters worse now, there's a double damage rune down at the bot rune spot. So if you're Talon, you see that. It feels like you just go high ground immediately. And Makoto, he's seen it.
Dire's bottom tower
Picks it up. They can just look to push in. They've still got bot towers to push. Savage, again, just soloing this, knowing that no one's going to be able to contest him on that Medusa. Takes a tier 1 for free. He's going to TP out. They're pushing quite up top.
Yeah, they've got the kotl once again. TMB dying for the 5th time this game as they go for a bit more. Never mind. Gonna try for the TP out. Should be able to make it just fine and does. Don't have the Vortex this time around. Again, it's the side of Talon that are in complete control of this game number 3. Polaris just unable to make really any kind of movement here as a team. It feels like all the eggs are just in the Natsumi basket, and it's not a very good basket, John. It's quite a fragile basket, in fact. The Savage gonna show up. We'll just get started into the tier 3 mid tower.
He's got Aegis up for 2 more minutes. Not much really stopping. Fortify on Fortify just to clear out the creep wave. Well, that gives Savages open. The next creep wave isn't too far off. And some time.
Savage get chased down. Natsumi able to back his way out with the spin, but that's about all he could do. In the meantime, KB with the axe up is just going to keep them at bay. There's no real reason to even start the fight. He can literally just keep them away from the racks and let Savage just keep going to work. Be 1 split down. Savage, he'll just keep going. No problems here for the Medusa. They're just casually going to wait for someone to try and jump in onto the Medusa as Savage. They'll finally get jumped by Nevermind. They've got to commit though. Natsumi, he's going to try with the spin out, but it does nothing. Only burnt through the mana of Savage. He's still got the Aegis up and ready to go. He's going to stick around for that mid lane of Barracks. They've committed nothing thus far, Natsumi. He's going to try again, and this time they might find the Aegis, and they will. That's 1 life. The mid Barracks, though, falling very, very low down. It looks like they might even just try to deny it off, and they will. TMB, he'll deny himself. You've got to take every win you can get, John, and that's a win for the side of Polaris right now.
Yeah, it's a little gold you're taking away. I mean, the effect is, the damage has been done for Talon though. Super creeps on the melee is going to be nice to keep that wave shoved in. They've got a constant issue to kind of pressure back on Polaris. They do have really good D-push with the Keeper of the Light though, so it shouldn't be too bad in managing that lane. And they have taken out the Aegis, so Savage doesn't have that secondary protection. Might find a good angle here.
Hey, they jump on. Natsumi, already with the spin out, is going to be able to get away. Indeed, he's been the one that's really been struggling with this keeper, but he can run his own way out now. The Talon, they may not opt to go high ground again throughout the bot lane for this one, as they don't have the Aegis, but they can certainly just take the final out of tower. Nothing really stopped them doing that, and you have the Medusa. There's just no rush. But Makoto, he's going to zip right through by himself onto the Dragon Knight. Never mind, he's taking a fair bit of damage here. Is the cookie's going to land as well? Savage, he's got the control. In the meantime, though, KP gets solved with a big Sonic Wave. They might have him, and they do. They've got the Brewmaster down, but Savage, he'll just keep going. Natsumi needs a way out of this, but it looks like he's got nothing to get out. He's probably just going to drop a no the Glimmer Cape. It does allow him to spin his way out just with the nick of time. Instead, they'll go after Nevermind. They'll go for the tieback on the Dragon Knight, and they might just have him. Nevermind trying to fly away, but he is going right back down. Tieback for Nevermind. All they find is KP.
Dire's middle barracks.
See if they can defend high ground here.
Aggressive.
He's been very good with the scatter blast stunts, John. As they lose now, forced to be KP up. Makoto, he'll zip right away. Savage, he's not really afraid. He'll just keep whacking away at people. KP, he's going to be back up with 2 more charges of that primal split, but they aren't going to rush anything. They'll happily back out. They'll control the map once again, and well, they might be able to keep going. There's a Dragon Knight down for 35. Again, 2 primal split charges here for KP. It's not like they're lacking control. Okay, here we go. They will commit. Trying with the Inksword to deal with the Brewlings, but KP does not really give a crap, as TMV now going to get caught out on the kotl, but is going to be fine to back his way out as they lose. She's still just trying to do with the Brewlings on KP. Natsumi just has no way into the team fight. All he can do is spin. They do at least defend the barracks, but they do lose the top tier 3 tower.
They've got a pretty nice tool here on Polaris to kind of hold their high ground. They've got that Dark Portrait up on Xavius, Ags is up and running on her Grimstroke. So you can turn that Medusa against the enemy team. How much it can really give you, though, is a different question. You've got the Enchantress on hand, you've got some good damage to burn through the illusion if you want to. Talon can just kind of take it slow. There are 2 lanes now. Polaris is going to have to constantly defend if the creep wave does get shoved in. And Talon can just wait for the next Roshan, knowing that Polaris is going to be caught up, bouncing their lanes back in control. If they do manage to get that next Roche once more without contestation from Polaris, that's when it gets kind of dicey for the side of Polaris.
Lelouch, Scatter Blast is going to connect. The cookie's not, though. Makoto, he was patient with the Vortex. The cookie just not getting there quick enough.
Big kill to miss out on. Some time wasted by Talon. At the same time, they still have really good control of the top jungle. They weren't really dragged away from that fight. They are trying to go here, though.
Yeah, KP, he's going to be the target. He's got Primal Split off. In fact, he might have to in just a moment. A Savage will happily go on to Nevermind, who's just not a tanky dragon. He will drop. KP goes for a bit more now. They know Xavius and TMV are around. There's your Primal Split up. They want the chase. They might just have it as well. It's KP, who are we finding? Tornado is there onto Xavius, so they've got the Grimstroke locked down. Savage, he'll move in. Xavius getting stunned up immediately. Is probably going to drop as they go for the Omni Flash, trying to get something. They at least find hide. They even found Q. It's not a bad team fight, as they even got KP. Everyone just kind of get blown up there. In fact, what was the damage from? Was that the Dark Portraiture?
It might have been. The illusion was doing some good work. I think they just managed to stack on and drag Talon a bit too far back. Mikado was not in that area as well to help playing around. It looks like Mikado just wants to wait for his full Ags before fully committing in these wider engagements. He is about 400 gold away. So I can get why the Storm wasn't quite in the air to give you that additional control. but Talon did overextend without their big playmaker to deal with the backline, and that does keep Polaris in the game. They take back the outpost. There's a minute left until Roshan. The Dark Portrait is doing a lot of work if they can't burn it down fast enough on Talon's end. And they've got to respect that output. They've got to respect the fact that Savage has a ton of farm that can work against him, although not too far forward.
Down to the kotl. That'll be TMB gone. Natsumi in the meantime, he's going to be able to spin TP up. Makoto, he's got the Ags on the way, I believe, here, John. Very concerning signs with the AoE Vortex to come out. And Polaris, they did a great job of defending that top lane of Barracks initially, but now with that out of control, see how they go.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Roshan's going to be up in 30 to boot. And if you're Polaris, you really cannot afford to let this Roshan go down for free. Not this time around.
Definitely can't. You do have the Axe as well here on Savage, so little of these team fights can get chaotic once the BKB start to flow down. And Roshan is opening up. Talon has good control of the area. There is still that forward ward here from Polaris on behind that medium camp, so we've got the information to kind of deal with it, but does get taken out by Talon. We've got the gem up on the kotl, and that should open up the rush. Does spawn back. Polaris, they've got to find an angle that works here, Mike. We've seen them win a couple of these team fights now, but that was on the high ground. Going out of their base, trying to get into that Roach pit, it's a lot tougher. They are grouped up for it with a smoke, though.
They are. They're going to try, but Roshan has been halted as KB who's going to break the smoke. Again, two primal split charges, but they're going to try and blow him up before that even happens. Makoto, he'll go into the backside, trying to get the Grimstroke and KB. He'll get the primal split off. They are in trouble once again here for Polaris. Never mind. He's going to drop. He does not have buyback. Natsumi will go for the Omni Slash, but it's not doing too much to them. Q with the Yules does save himself. Natsumi trying to get out of there, but Makoto's going to jump right back in with the Vortex out. TMB and Xavius is gone. Natsumi, he's the only one left. In fact, they've got Lelouch around with a big sonic wave, but it's not going to do nothing. It does absolutely nothing. With that, Talon, they might just be able to go high ground once again.
Yep, pinks are coming out for top. Creep Wave's still a bit far off on the mid and top lane, though, so backdoor's going to be up for quite a while. And that does mean that Talon's not going to be able to find that cleanup they want. Roshan is still open for them. There is now that cliff ward coming through from Polaris, though. So they'll be able to spot the next Rosh attempt. But that was a great play from Talon. They back off from the Roshan. They knew a smoke was coming out. They managed to get the angle. KP breaks and forces the attention on himself. He lives long enough that he just gets the split off. He only had to use one split as well. Rosh does begin in earnest for Talon. The information is there for Polaris, but now they definitely can't come in. No Jug, only the QOP and DK. No Grimstroke for the combination and the Dark Portrait. That is going to be the second Rosh going the way of Talon, along with that free Ag Shard. And could just pass it on to Savage. He's got the Ag, so having that Mystic Snake bouncing around, stoning more people up in the fight is going to be big. They pass it onto... Who did we pass it? Mikado? Hi.
Well, Savage has got the Aegis. Makoto, yeah, I think Makoto's got the shards up.
Alright, yeah.
Alright.
Just give Overload to Savage. Have him hit and get even more damage off, you know? No problem.
Why the hell not? KP, move in. Orchid is there from Lelouch. Vortex is there, Makoto. Immediately onto Nevermind. Does blow quite a bit of his mana for that, though, as Nevermind is actually going to be able to survive with that one. Natsumi now, right in the middle with that spin out. Still needs to respect Savage and his damage, but with the spin is feeling rather safe. The Omni is going to be back up in 5 seconds to play with, but they've got the top racks, and that might just be enough. Savage will take his own shards up now as well. And that'll be about it. Polaris, they're just unable to defend.
They've just got to hold while they can. They still have one good lane to play with. Bot lane still fairly intact. Tier 2 still stands. They can make that their launching point. But they are 20k behind, 23 to 12 coming out here for Talon. Smoke out from Polaris. Try to catch Talon off their guard here.
Polaris try and find a way into this fight. It's very tough, and what a great scan out. Smoke broken, they're gonna have to try hide. He's got the Glimmer Cape out, they'll still try to focus him down, but Savage is gonna get right to work. Makoto! He's got all 4 of them, and they are just gonna melt! Oh boy, Makoto! Right in the middle! They found Natsumi as well. I mean, you don't have to call it, but it's pretty rough after that one, John.
It's a rough one. They've got buybacks. No Omni Slash and Natsumi means he can't really do much in the middle of this next fight. Doesn't have the Ag for the Swift Slash. Doesn't have his Basher up yet. Is going to be forced to buy back. That might be enough to put Talon and, you know, play it a little bit more safe. Go for the tier 3 down bot and Rax instead. They're still in a very strong position. Next split still about 20 seconds away. You still have the Aegis for almost 3 minutes here on Savage. He has a lot he can play for.
Certainly so. It's a very hard defense now. Polaris, they're going to try and move in as Natsumi chips away a little bit, but you've got the Aegis up on Savage. Polaris still trying their best to just chip away at the Medusa. Talon, they've actually got the Swift Blink to come out on Savage, so it seems like they're going to play a bit safer. Back off for now. 31k net worth advantage though here for Talon. Polaris, they're the ones that need to find a way to try and fight back.
It's tough. Look, their high ground defense isn't amazing. It does feel like they work best when they're on the offensive here in Polaris. They get a good Dragon Tail Inkswell combo. They get a good double Dark Portrait on the Medusa +1. And that's when the fights can turn for them. Just finding that angle is difficult. That smoke was great, but the scan was even better out from Talon to figure out that movement and just catch them off guard, giving that opportunity for Mikado to get that huge vortex off. Their high ground hold, I mean, with a Dark Portrait, it is there. You can clear out the creep wave as much as they want as well. The Aegis timer is running a bit low now on Savage. Minute and a half left, so they've got to make that move quick here on Talon if they want to just get the Megas and try it for the end. We'll see what the decision is, though. Still in a very comfy spot for Talon. They don't necessarily have to force it out. I don't think Polaris is going to be able to outscale them if they miss this opportunity on the high ground. But you don't want to give chances.
A regen rune available on Makoto, John. It's such a hard team fight now. And they jump Savage with the Swift Link, gets right to work. Never mind in the meantime trying to deal with the Brewlings, but in comes Makoto again with the Vortex out. He's got the Grimstroke. The kisses are there to boot. Polaris, they're just trying to get back to the fountain, but they can't even do that. Maybe they find Makoto, but no, the Pelican. It's going to save the day as Natsumi. He can't get the job done. He'll try onto Q. Just get the snap fire, but not even that's going to happen. Q will survive. Jug's gone. Nevermind is gone, and it seems like Polaris are gone. Tips out for Xavius. Xavius, to be fair, John, he was tipping a lot during that laning stage. He'll pay for it if they finally lose to boot. That's over. Talon have got the 2-1 victory here against Polaris Esports for their Series 1 on the SEA DPC Tour number 3. And I'm sure I'm about to see